My name is Aminat. I'm 17 years old and I'm a survivor.
My name is Mitchell. I'm 90 years old and I'm a survivor.
My name is Bolani and I'm a survivor.
My name is Leke. I am a survivor.
My name is Titi. I'm 16 years old. I'm a survivor.
Orúkọ mi ni Bọ́sẹ̀. Mo jẹ́ ọmọ ọdún mẹ́tàdínlógójì.
My name is Tolani. I'm 23 years old. I'm a survivor.
I'm Bimbo Aladijai. I'm a survivor.
I was
raped by my neighbor.
A policeman who raped me was actually staying not far from my house.
Pinned me down, raped me.
I was mutilated by my grandmom.
He said I should not tell anybody that if I tell anybody that they will kill me.
I was pregnant, but I didn't know I was pregnant then.
Telling people I was raped, it's like...
If I told my mom, he will not be happy with me because I'm the only child. My name is
Titi.
Amina.
I'm 16 years old. I'm a survivor.
And I'm a survivor.
My name is Mitchell. I'm 30 years old.
Ekiti people are rustic, knowledgeable, honorable, and decent people. That's what we're known for.
Ekiti people are generally unique. We have respect for ourselves. We are men and women of dignity.
Ekiti has a very rich cultural heritage. It's about the only state in Nigeria that is entirely homogeneous. We speak the same language, right down to the same dialect.
Everybody is Ekiti. People will prefer to struggle and live with what they have than to be involved in any sharp practices, cutting corners. Is alien to us in Ekiti.
Very industrious, hardworking, people of integrity, forthright and honest to a fault. We place a high premium on education and progress.
And on a lighter note, people say Ekiti people are very stubborn.
I would describe them as very principled people.
My name is Bisi Adileye Fayemi. I am a gender and development specialist, a feminist activist and writer, and I'm the wife of the Governor of Ekiti State. In addition to being the chair of the Ekiti State Gender-Based Violence Management Committee, I'm also chair of a coalition of governors' wives who work on gender-based violence issues. Sexual and gender-based violence affects all societies around the world. And I find it disheartening that after such a long time, we are still being faced with the same issues. The difference, however, is in a country like Nigeria, we still do not have the institutions and the processes to address these issues comprehensively.
For me, the central vision is simple, and it is to build an Ekiti where being a girl child or a woman does not underprivilege you in terms of the rights and opportunities that are available to you in society. And being a boy child does not give you an advantage. So it's culture, its values, its resources available. Everything we've done, particularly on zero tolerance to gender-based violence, since my first time in office, I've focused on these.
We are struggling with what has been called the scourge of sexual violence. In Ekiti State, we get possibly an average of 4 complaints a day. and that is those that come forward to complain.
There are many drivers that make gender-based violence continue to recycle itself relentlessly. And for me, the most critical driver is patriarchal norms and values. We live in deeply patriarchal societies which place more premium on the lives of boys and the lives of men. They place more value on their labor, on their leadership, and on their contributions. And women and girls are always considered less.
There is that perception in the past that the man will always be in charge, and the women generally should be seen, and they should be seen and not heard. They are seen in a position of subservience to their men, to the husbands. Even in a family, if you have male and female children, you discover that that arrogance of the boys is there at the expense of their sisters.
Sadly, this is what gives a number of men a sense of entitlement to the bodies and the labor of women and girls.
For me, if you ask me, the reason why sexual violence thrives in these states is because there is still a wide acceptability of the problem. It's not like stealing where, there is this stigma against the person.
I was raped by my neighbor when I'm 16 years old and I got pregnant. I'm the only one that my mom gave birth to. So when a man beside our house bring his friend to borrow house in our house. So he's now living in our house. We live together. One day, he told my mother, I should follow them to farm to bring cocoyam. When we got there, the second man that is living in our house said that he wants to go and hunt. Before he came back, the one that bring her raped me. When he came back and I told her, and he said I should not tell anybody, that if I tell anybody that they will kill me.
Kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé mo jẹ́ ọmọ 45 years old, mo dẹ̀ ti married for 23 years. Mo ní ọkọ tó jẹ́ pé ọkọ yẹn ní wàhálà ni, ó dẹ̀ máa ń fìyà jẹ mí. Gbogbo ìgbà tó bá ti ń ṣe wàhálà yẹn, á gbé àdá. Mo ní ìgbà tó ti máa ń sá báyà máa sá tẹ̀lé mi pé àwọn fi àdá yẹn pé wọ́n á fi ṣá mi. Torí ọkọ yẹn ó jẹ́ ẹni tí ó like obìnrin. Bí gan tí wàhálà yẹn gan ti máa ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ nìyẹn. Àwọn obìnrin oríṣiríṣi ló máa ń kó kiri. Tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ti wá sọ̀rọ̀ inú abi àti bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. A lóun á pa mí, a lóun fẹ́ rí mi gan nínú ilé rárá ní mò ń disturb, ní mò ń ní òun lára. Ìgbà kan tó wà tó jẹ́ pé ó tún gbé petrol níbi tí mo ti ń ta ọjà yẹn ló wá gbé petrol yẹn pé òun á pa mí sínú ṣọ́ọ̀bù pé nílò òun á jó mi. Ọpọlọpẹ Ọlọ́run àtàwọn èèyàn.
There was this unrest in the society. There was crisis everywhere. Curfew. So I couldn't access my hostel. So I was forced to pass the night with a male student whom I thought was just what the person. Well, he took advantage of that and he raped me. He refunded me. I couldn't even hold him. He overpowered me, pinned me down, raped me brutally.
Ní gbogbo ìgbà ni ọkọ mi máa ń nà mí. Tó yẹ pé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn máa ń ní agbára tí gbogbo àwọn èèyàn máa bá wa dá sí. Tí ìjà yẹn pọ̀ to the extent mo dẹ̀ ti bí ọmọ 3 ọkùnrin. Mo ṣe àwọn forí títí torí àwọn ọmọ mi kí n má bàa fi àwọn ọmọ mi sílẹ̀. So ìgbà tó wá di ọjọ́ kan tọ́rọ̀ yẹn tún ní agbára, ó bọ́ sí ẹnu ọ̀nà ilé, ó dẹ̀ yọlẹ̀kùn. Ó tún gun orí páànù, ó tún ṣí páànù ilé tí òjò rọ̀ tó bà gbogbo ẹrù wa jẹ́. Ó dẹ̀ jẹun tó jẹ́ ìbẹ̀rù fún mi tí mi ò ní owó tí ò dẹ̀ sí olùrànlọ́wọ́ tó lè ràn mí lọ́wọ́.
I was a student in a school. Then I've been harassed by a teacher. So I've been to accept what the teacher said so that I could be able to be free from any things he wants me to do. So after doing it, he continued threatening me to do such. But actually I was afraid to tell my mom what happened. But later I decided to speak up to tell my mom to know what is going on through me. So my mom went straight to the school and reported to the school authority. They called the man and the man was lamenting that He did not do anything with me, that there's nothing happened between me and him.
I lost my both parents, so I have to stay with my grandmother. I'm a victim of rapes. Then a policeman who raped me was actually staying not far from my house. I was pregnant, but I didn't know I was pregnant then. So it was when the pregnancy started showing that people start telling my grandma that this girl is actually pregnant.
Most victims of gender-based violence do not come forward due to stigma and fear, shame, and also because they believe that either people don't believe them, or even if you do believe them and you want to help, we do not have adequate resources to do so. And so many cases go unreported.
Many victims do not want to come forward because of a combination of culture and social stigma. That is a problem.
It takes a whole lot of courage for the victim to come out to say, this has happened to me. There is the issue of the victim blaming themselves and the society also blaming them.
I couldn't speak out because telling people I was raped, it's like, I won't even be able to walk around the way I like. So I decided to keep it to myself. But it got to a stage, it's beginning to show on me. I wasn't myself anymore.
Ìdí tí mi ṣe tètè sọ̀rọ̀ ni pé nílẹ̀ Yorùbá téèyàn bá ti ní ọkọ, ẹni tí bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀, nǹkan yẹn á máa ṣẹlẹ̀, but wọ́n á tún parí ẹ̀, àwọn òbí ò kì í fẹ́ kéèyàn wá jókòó sílé yá wípé àwọn olùyàfẹ́ dálé moṣú nìyẹn, ìdí nìyẹn mo ṣàǹfààrà dà gẹ́gẹ́ bí abiyamọ.
In most cases, when police is investigating gender-based violence cases, pressure from people you least expected, and at the time they even want pressure on a victim to say he is no longer interested. And most of these victims are even young persons, children, who cannot consent. But you see their parents will be coming to say, and sometimes they just abandon the case for the police.
Ẹ̀bẹ̀rù yẹn ó máa ń wà ní máìdí mi tèmi, mo máa ń rò dáadáa pé tí bá kúrò ní ọ̀dọ̀ ọkọ mi yìí, báwo ni mo ti fẹ́ ṣe ọmọ yìí, dídí ọmọ mẹ́rin.
I didn't speak out because he asked me not to tell anybody. And aside from that, when I was raped, I feel like if I tell somebody such thing, people will laugh at me, they will make jest of me. Actually, it's not a good thing to be raped.
For victims of sexual violence and even rape, there is something called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a big challenge, right, that most people face post this sort of violence.
During the global pandemic of coronavirus, there was much more increase in gender-based violence, especially domestic violence and rape, as a result of the lockdown that had to occur because of the coronavirus.
There are a number of approaches that we have adopted, and they are as follows. First of all, addressing issues of access to justice through our legal and policy frameworks. Apparently, civil society organizations like FIDA and the Ministry of Women Affairs had been trying to get legislation off the ground. So when we went to see Mr. Governor in November 2010, and that was just within 1 month of his being governor of the state, he promised that it would be done. And so with that political will and support, we then went to town and mobilized different constituencies to ensure that we'll be able to have a robust legislation, buy-in from the communities, and ongoing political will and support.
We've drafted the gender-based violence law. Recently, we looked at it again and thought there was a need to review it, given current concerns, because of the increase in rape of minors. We thought that it was important to draft an additional law, which is the composite treatment of child victims of sexual violence law.
The law makes provision for compulsory treatment for any victim, both physically and psychologically. And the law made provision for compulsory judgments and sanctions for any violator.
Wọ́n ṣe gan-an ni o, torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn àwọn ni wọ́n wá mú lọ́ọ̀yà tẹ̀lé mi lọ sí customary court ọkọ yẹn gbé mi lọ sí àwọn ló wá stand fún mi àwọn àjọ group yẹn ló wá tẹ̀lé mi lọ láì gba kọ́bọ̀ láì gba anything lọ́wọ́ mi.
Ekiti State was the first state to open a register of sex offenders. The moment you are convicted for any sex offense in this state, your details is immediately entered into a sex offenders register. In addition to that, we began a name and shame policy, which essentially means that once we get conviction from the court, we publish your details.
The naming and shaming policy is even a much more stronger deterrent than conviction in the law courts.
We are now trying to go a step further by ensuring that we paste the posters of such persons in their communities.
The second is focusing on treatment, care, and protection of GBV survivors. We believe that they have survived the worst thing that could ever have happened to them in their lives. And if we can give them hope, if we can give them the courage that they need, and if we can help them create a new narrative, a new story, they become survivors. But before that can happen, there are certain things we need to put in place.
So when you hear about the Moremi Center or Sexual Assault Referral Center or any of the support intervention mechanisms that we have, it is because we know that this is something that is traumatic for the victim. And in order to survive that experience, you need a whole range of measures that will not be judgmental of the person.
I have to confide in this sister of mine, and she talked to me about the sexual assault referral center, and they called me time to time. I go there occasionally for checkup. They gave me drugs, treatment, and all that, free of charge.
It's not a thing of joy to have a place where survivors of sexual assault can go to, but the thing is, it's important to have it as a responsible government. And I hope that people who get to know about this center would direct anyone they know who needs the services here. The services, as I said, are one-stop. They will receive emergency treatment, they will receive psychosocial support and counseling, they will receive legal aid, and anything that they need to survive a violent sexual assault.
They asked me that maybe I want to go to school, and I say yes, that I love to go to school and I want to be a lawyer. And that took me to another school. They pay my school fees. When I got the baby, they give me all care, and the baby is growing up. They are doing their responsibility over the baby and me.
The third is education and reorientation for prevention. We need to ensure that there is a lot of sensitization and awareness in communities around what constitutes GBV, how people can help, and the role that they have to play in all languages available through various mediums.
We might be at different levels of understanding, but nobody can say that he has not heard about it, because the Excellency is always up and doing.
Thankfully, we've had cooperation with a broad range of print and electronic media, particularly radio stations that majority of our people listen to. We've evolved creative partnerships with them to further help us transmit the message that in Ekiti State, our policy is zero tolerance for all forms of sexual violence.
Bí mo ṣe gbọ́ nípa social welfare ni pé wọ́n wá sí area bí tí mò ń gbé ní àdúgbò tó ń sọ ọ̀rọ̀ wọ̀nyẹn, tó ń sọ ọ̀rọ̀ fún ẹni tó bá ní irú àwọn ìdánwò àwọn ìṣòro báyẹn. Lèmi náà ṣe wá tí mo wá trace wọn wá sí ibi tán wà tèmi náà fi lè rí ọ̀nà àbáyọ.
Mo dẹ̀ ti máa ń gbọ́ lórí rédíò pé àwọn àjọ tí ọlọ́lá wa gómìnà wa ìyàwó Erelu Fáyẹmí tí wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ pé wọ́n máa ń gba àwọn obìnrin, so mo ní láti lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn group yẹn. Àwọn náà ṣáà wá tẹ̀lé mi lọ sí court, wọ́n wá stand fún mi.
We have just finished the values curriculum for primaries 1 to 6 in Ekiti now, and from JSS 1 to JSS SSS 3. And now we're developing books to ensure that a young kid right from a young age should respect the opposite sex and not feel that they are objects for manipulation and intimidation and assault. So, and we hope that that will play a much more longer lasting, enduring role in our work on gender empowerment.
Gender-based violence is a bad treatment given to a particular person based on their gender. And the government used to come to our school to teach us how we can prevent it. I have my body. Nobody can touch me in a place that is not, he or she is not supposed to touch me. And if such thing happen, I have to report because they said we should always speak out. And thank God for the government that have put law on that.
The fourth area that we are engaged in is community ownership. We have realized that if we do not engage communities in the work that we are doing, particularly opinion leaders and religious leaders, our work is going to be in vain. So we have a lot of work that we do around engaging communities for ownership.
The Traditional Council, Ekiti State Council of Traditional Rulers, has taken a decision to support the advocacy in the area of gender-based violence, to put an end to it. And sequel to this, we've mandated our subjects that anybody who has an axe to grind with anybody who has been involved in any gender-based violence should feel very free. Even if you can't go to the police station, come to the palace, let us know, and we will guide them appropriately, and sanction will be meted out on the perpetrator of such a crime.
Alukurani fi ní ọgbà ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn obìnrin nínú ìwé mímọ́ tá a fi rán Ànábì wa Muhammad. À ń pè ní Suratul Nisa. Ó sọ bí a ṣe máa lo obìnrin, bá a ṣe máa hùwà pẹ̀lú obìnrin, bá a ṣe máa ṣàpọ́nlé obìnrin, tá a ní jẹ́ kí ìyà ó jẹ wọ́n tí wọ́n láti wà nínú ẹni àpọ́nlé.
When a lady or a wife is being beaten and you see the scar or the wound, what happens to you? It was just home, I knocked my face on the, but in reality, that person is suffering. And this is why we need to speak out. And that is why I'm very happy that, as I said earlier on, that Her Excellency, the wife of the governor in Ekiti State, has even gone far by making sure that there are laws against gender-based violence.
And then the next issue for us is around having an effective gender-based violence mechanism. If women are unable to survive on their own, they are not going to be able to make a decision to leave an abusive relationship. They will stay there till the worst happens. Poverty also makes a lot of girls vulnerable as well, because then they become pawns to be sold, to be battered, to be trafficked. And that's the reason why I have been working on these issues in Ekiti State through an initiative that I started known as the Ekiti Women's Empowerment Program. We have registered cooperatives in all the wards in Ekiti State, 177 wards, 2 cooperatives per ward. And in each of these cooperatives, we have women who are going to have access to resources for small-scale businesses.
And when you get to the shelter that we've just completed, you will see that it's also a skills acquisition place. In addition to providing that assistance to those who have been assaulted at home.
When women are economically empowered, it reduces their vulnerability in terms of violence against women.
The Ministry of Women Affairs has made a lot of advocacy in collaboration with the Office of Her Excellency to go on advocacy visits on all stakeholders in the Ekiti State. A lot of MDAs are collaborating in the campaign and enlightenment on how we can eradicate sexual-based violence in our society, especially in Ekiti State.
The partnership between the government and the CSOs and the agencies is as a formulation of the policies the government have made. All agencies have gender desk, including local government councils. We have the community development officers there who can easily attend to GBV cases, report, and make proper referral.
From time to time when we visit secondary schools, so far we've been able to visit over 32 secondary schools, not within the capital alone, a few other local governments. And our engagement comes with a lot of emotions and stories, because when we talk, we use different methods to speak to them. Sometimes we use video displays, sometimes we act dramas, just to be able to endear them and spark emotional reactions to these things. And, if we in case have people who have been abused, assaulted, they can open up, we can connect with them. Most of them don't even know that it's abuse, until somebody comes to define it for them. And I think that's a defining moment for us, what we do, because we're able to spell it out, that if someone is doing this and that to you, inducement, it doesn't come clearly as they're abusing. You feel like you're paying the person back to keep a secret. So they know when they see the signs coming, and I believe that we also connect them to agencies and bodies where if it ever happens, God forbid, they can also get help, psychosocial support, and hopefully get justice.
GBV remains a challenge in Nigeria, but even also here in Ekiti. We have quite a number of people. For instance, if you take female genital mutilation, where the prevalence rate in Ekiti is about 55.7%, as that's based on the last National Demographic Health Survey that was carried out. It has psychological effects. It has health concerns for the victim.
Female genital mutilation or female circumcision is when they cut the private part of a female.
My experience with FGM propelled me to engage communities and stakeholders, particularly mothers, because I realized that when mothers have the right information, they are in better position to protect their daughters and children. FGM, for one, is one of the practices that is driven by myths and misconception.
This is the instrument we are using before. Erelufayemi said we should stop it. We are using razor blade with a leaf. After cutting it, to use this root to stop the bleeding. And then they are using this one again to cut it. That's what we are using for the female circumcision.
I was mutilated by my grandmom. My mom, of course, was aware, but as at that time, she didn't have enough knowledge to be able to stand her ground. And I remember engaging her and asking her, why did she allow me to go through that? She apologized and told me that she didn't know as at that time. And when she got to know that FGM was harmful, she didn't mutilate my kid sister.
So I used to explain to them, I used to tell them, please, don't do circumcision for this baby girl. We are just put these children to the pains. Apart from that pains now, when they grow, they will not enjoy sex. They have caused a lot of problem for ladies, especially when they want to deliver.
For me, that experience taught me that mothers who accept the practice of FGM or other forms of gender-based violence believe that they are doing what they are doing in the best interest of their child. So once they have the right knowledge, they are able to abandon the practice of FGM and other forms of gender-based violence.
The reason that people are doing this is because there's no work. When there's no work, there's no way they will feed themselves and their family. And then the Erelufayemi gave us some money that time. They can still give something for us to be doing. If they empower us for small hard work to do and other things to do.
We are ready to take the bull by the horn. We are ready to put an end to any form of gender-based violence. We are ready to support the advocacy of our First Lady, our amiable First Lady, Erelufayemi, what she's doing in the area of gender-based violence, so that Ekiti State will not be haven for violators of rights in the area of gender-based violence.
My advice to people out there who are victims of rape or any sexual violence, please speak out. There are help right and left, but please, when you speak out, you get help, you get justice.
There's help in the Ministry of Justice. There's help in the office of the First Lady. It is also very important that they don't just assume that nothing will happen. The services that we provide in the Ministry of Justice is free of charge.
We are learning as we go along. No system is perfect, but we are happy that at least we are putting a system in place. At least there's an architecture in place to be able to address these issues. I'm really thankful to His Excellency the Governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, for all his leadership on this issue. And I salute the efforts of our State Attorney General, Honorable Wale Fakunda. He has been absolutely amazing. He's been a very serious champion. And all the other sisters and brothers that I work with on the Gender-Based Violence Management Committee and those who are part of the Sexual Assault Referral Center coordinating teams. Everyone has put in all their best. We would like to continue to do what we are doing, even though the resources we are working with are minimal, but we are all determined that on our watch, gender-based violence is going to at least, if it can't be eradicated in Ekiti State on our watch, at least it should be seriously minimized.
The government of Ekiti State has zero tolerance for all forms of gender-based violence, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual violence, whether it's even sexual harassment, both in and out of the workplace.
There is a provision in the GBV law of Ekiti State 2019 that punishes someone who tried to solicit or to pervert the course of justice in relation to GBV. And we have not actually started implementing that aspect, but we have had the nod of the Commissioner of Police, CP Mobayo, that whosoever comes to beg for someone who has committed rape, especially on a child, that person will have to go in for it as well.
I would like to take it from there to let people know that as far as Ekiti State is concerned, we have zero tolerance for all forms of gender-based violence. Please come forward if you see anything. Please come forward if there's something happening around you that gives you concern. We will treat the information that we receive with confidentiality. We will ensure that we proceed as sensitively and as cautiously as possible, but we'll ensure that justice is done.
Speak up, you get justice.